I know the world's got you down. There's a lot of things going on. Can't make sense of them. In this show, in less than an hour, all things shall be explained.
Excellent.
All things shall be explained. So let me start with this in the new year, Karen. Answer me this. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
That's a good question, Charlie. I'm waiting for you to give me
Wrong.
the
It was the
reveal.
lobbyist. Remember, like over the holidays, the price of eggs skyrocketed in Michigan, and it'll probably never go down in an appreciable way. And it's all due to a chummy deal cut between, you guessed it, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, animal rights activists, and corporate egg producers. Then there's the lobbyist who put the whole deal together. So what happened? Let's go back to 2009. The Humane Society convinced Governor Jennifer Granholm to sign a law requiring Michigan egg producers to use bigger cages so that confined hens could spread their wings and live more like humans. The egg producers were given 11 years to make the change. The lobbyist for the Humane Society at the time was a lawyer named Pete Rudell. In 2018, Rudell, who was still working for the Humane Society, was back at the Capitol with a new idea, one imported straight from California. Instead of larger cages, how about doing away with cages altogether by 2025? Governor Rick Snyder didn't like the idea and vetoed it. But the very next year, Snyder was out and Whitmer was in, and Rudell, he had a new job. Rudell was now the lobbyist for, wait for it, the egg farmers. Now, Rudell told me this. I called him. I got a hold of him. The animal activists had a gun to our head. Rudell saying he, with the egg farmers, were sitting in 2019 and the poultry industry had not made this conversion yet to the bigger cages. So they felt that they had their backs against the wall in the poultry industry and they needed to get 5 more years. So basically, it was Rudell's own gun from his time with the Humane Society that the animal rights activists were now pointing at Rudell and his new clients, the egg farmers. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
As it happens, the egg farmers really liked the cage-free idea. Why? Let me quote Michigan Compiled Law Section 287.746, subsection 4, and I quote, "A business owner shall not knowingly engage in the sale of any egg in this state that the business owner knows or should know is the product of an egg-laying hen that was confined." So that means that nearly 70% of the nation's eggs, the ones laid by caged hens across the country, are now illegal to sell in Michigan. So the market gets cornered, the competition gets crushed, and prices explode. Add to that a bird flu pandemic that has decimated Michigan's chicken flocks. So now the price of a dozen eggs costs more than the chicken itself. Are the more expensive cage-free eggs laid by thousands of birds crammed into darkened barns any more ethical or healthy than traditional eggs? Well, studies show higher rates of bacteria, parasitic infection, and cannibalism among cage-free birds. Further, about 60% of all the bird flu deaths in America last year occurred in cage-free settings, even though the cage-free eggs make up only about a third of the U.S. market. Get it? No matter. The Humane Society gets its puppy donations. The governor gets her campaign contributions. Corporate agriculture gets its profit. The lobbyist gets paid. And grandma gets thin. Last week, caged eggs, which are still legal in Ohio, a dozen went for $3.97. In Royal Oak, where caged eggs are now considered contraband, the price for cage-free eggs was $6.29. In San Francisco, it was $8.99. Now, I asked Rudell, we were talking about the market implications of this, and the switch-hitting lobbyist for the egg industry told me, I don't pay attention to the daily price of eggs, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so what we have here is Senator Ed McBroom, who'll be joining us, who's, I think, one of the few farmers in the Michigan legislature. He knows all things agriculture. We'll ask him what this means going into the future. But first, my buddy Ken Beck and I, we put a little something together. We went down to Toledo because, we could, I smell an arbitrage here, bro. Here's the deal. $6 and $4 is a $2 difference. So I figure I could figure out a hustle here. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to see the full version of this, because this show is also, most of the audience is listening and not watching, you can go to themichiganenjoyer.com where everything appears. You can go to our YouTube page, which is what? No BS Newshour?
Yep.
You can follow me on X, Charlie LeDuff, and you can watch it all. But let's play a little excerpt here. Old school eggs, the kind that used to be grown in cages, are now illegal in Michigan. So smelling an arbitrage opportunity, I hustled down to Ohio to score some contraband merchandise. They still allow you to grow eggs in cages down there. You know where a guy can score some eggs?
Score some eggs.
Yeah.
A cooler over there.
Thanks, bro. $3.97. Still $3 cheaper. You know what they did in Michigan? They can't be grown in cages.
Oh, I did hear about
So the
that.
price is like $7 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
$7.
9 in California.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do it.
Keep that for yourself.
Hey.
Right here. No, guys. Remember, mega day keeps the doctor away.
I remember that.
Once I made the score, I drove back to Michigan and popped into my local grocery store to peep out the competition.
$6.29 in one of the largest egg growing states in America. Something stinks.
Now, I ain't no genius, but $6 is $2 more than $4.
Hey, lady. Extra large grade A, straight from Ohio. $5. Hey, buddy. For you, fresh from Ohio, extra large grade A, $5.
$5.
There's $6.29 in there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I don't white or brown eggs. I want brown.
White eggs.
When you get brown, I want brown.
Well, when you go in there, you're gonna be shocked. This is my last chance. That fresh from Ohio.
All right.
All right. Extra large grade A. Straight from Ohio. Fresh. For you, $5. I mean, now we have a shortage. And it's, you know who wrote the law?
Who?
The lobbyist for the Humane Society. You know who he's a lobbyist for now?
Who?
The poultry industry.
Jeez. Oh, Ben Hat.
We have
We're being had.
for you, $4.99.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff and Karen Dumas.
It's just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Are we on? We get one more drag here. Bothers Karen.
No, that's okay. That was great, Charlie. That was. How do you think of this stuff?
Funny as hell, yeah.
Well, I got a good partner in Ken Beck over there.
Yeah,
You know what
Ken's
I mean?
creative. Ken, hats off to you.
It's actually longer. It's cool. It's an homage to the movie The Sting, but a lot of it's just music and
So
setup.
where can we see the rest of the piece?
The MichiganEnjoyer.com.
Okay.
My Twitter page.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. I want to check it out.
So before we get to Senator Ed McBroom, Let me tell you about Luke Nowacki, who reminds you that the politicians lie to you, the media lies to you, so how do you know if your investment statements are lying to you? Remember, you're not managing your wealth. That's some unseen guy working for a big bank jockeying some unknown algorithm. But he's not making decisions based on what's best for you. He's making decisions on what's best for his bonus, gambling with your hard-earned dollars. You should know your money, man. That's why I work with financial specialist Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. He'll tailor a financial plan specifically for you, from annuities to retirement accounts to college savings plans. He'll keep you up to date, and he's always a phone call away. Let Luke Nowacki worry so you don't have to. Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748. 248-663-4748. Now, from the great, is the UP part of Michigan still?
Today.
I thought we were swapping that out with Canada. We'll take Ottawa and we'll give them the UP. But from the Upper Peninsula, State Senator Ed McBroom. Hey, Ed, thanks for being here.
Great to be back with you, Charlie. I love that piece there from The Sting. Great movie. Great takeoff.
We'll send you a link, and then you can, send it around up there. Like, you know what I mean? I know you guys are big fans up there at the State House. So Ed, was I about right in that monologue? Is that the sweep of this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's all those who are now telling us, the cost of eggs has gone up. It's not related to cage-free. They're talking out their hat. I mean, cage-free has always been more expensive. Farmers know it's more expensive. And when they agreed to go cage-free in Michigan, they had to have us pass an additional law to make it illegal for non-cage-free eggs to come into the state because they know they can't compete against that.
And so is this price, the upward pressure on prices for the most basic of foods, eggs, right? If there's anything that says inflation,
Milk,
I know
eggs,
it's
bread, those basics.
People, milk, maybe. I mean, we say it, bread, maybe we say, but eggs, the egg was central to this whole election, kind of. Right? That spoke more about inflation than anything. Any chance
Absolutely.
in Michigan the price is going to go down? Or does this law prohibit that?
Well, with the HPA is obviously adding additional costs. So if we ever can clear up this mess with HPA, the bird flu, prices will adjust downwards. But we're always going to be more expensive now as a cage-free only state. We're going to be more expensive than the states that aren't.
Now, the industry likes to bullshit and say, well, there's no shortage because Michigan actually exports eggs, right?
Yes.
Okay. But here's what everybody should know. The biggest egg producer in Michigan has the contract with McDonald's and basically supplies every McDonald's store east of the Mississippi with eggs. So it's a corporate client. Ed, do you think McDonald's, this cost was passed on to McDonald's or was it passed on to my mother?
Well, I think it's probably both. I suspect, although I'm sure McDonald's is getting a better deal than your mother.
But who's checking to see if an egg is caged or not? I mean, where's the enforcement? Is there any type of inspection? Like, who's determining whether or not the eggs are caged or not by the time that they're harvested and delivered to the store? Where's the confirmation that it's actually a cage-free egg?
Well, that's a great question. I would say that there's a couple of different parts of that, but it is going to be enforced. One, the guys who've made the investment to go cage-free are certainly going to be on the lookout for anybody who's not following those rules and is impacting their bottom line. You have HSUS and their people who are out there anxious to enforce these rules as well. And finally, you can call on the State Department of Agriculture then to enforce this law, as they do with other food production laws, some of which I'm subject to as a dairy farmer. And so it's enforceable, and there's people who are going to be watching and making a big deal about enforcing it.
I mean, when you go to the store, is it like the golden egg? Can you look at it and tell that it's really, or is it just switched in a different carton?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Let's
Like,
be
how do you
clear.
know?
Right. Look, a cage-free egg is not more nutritious, is it, Ed? No.
Not at all. No difference.
No difference. And it looks to me, well, the vast amount of stuff I read on it, it's not more humane. It looks more humane. And they convinced everybody, like, the guy in the parking lot wanted the brown eggs. We didn't make it. He's like, are they cage-free? And I'm like, that's the point, brother. That's the point, brother. So it's been a whole marketing campaign.
Yeah,
and like you said, like, there's no real government oversight about what constitutes organic or cage-free. It's just a label, and there's some associations, and that's it.
And like you said, in the marketing campaign, I mean, when you think about oversight, government oversight of food production and consumption, the FDA just said that they were just going to start monitoring the lead levels in baby food for the first time ever. So, what is anybody really doing as it relates to what we're consuming?
Yeah, let me ask you this, Ed. I mean, you helped write the ag bill, right? We had to bring it up to modern standards and definitions. So you were involved in that, correct?
The other parts of that bill, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
But you also stood on the Senate floor warning everybody that what we just saw a couple days before this law went into effect, exactly what you warned about, which is prices are going to skyrocket. Yeah?
Right. Yeah.
And who listened to you? I didn't read that in the newspapers.
Well, I know that I did convince a couple of colleagues to come my way and vote no. Tom Barrett, who's now a congressman in particular, he texted me the other day, thanked me for making sure he voted the right way on that. But I even had some people who voted no, some of my Democrat colleagues who voted no, who said the reason they voted no was it didn't implement cage-free right away. They didn't want the 5-year delay.
Yeah.
So, not everybody listened.
What just dumbasses from like Metro Detroit suburbs, right? Voting on the source of food when they know nothing about it.
Well, what I can tell you as a farmer who's been very involved over the last 20 years since I got out of college and has seen HSUS rise up across the country with this undue influence, and they appeal to the consumer on emotional fronts, and they show a picture of some cow or a chicken or something in a circumstance that's always very, clipped and, taken out of context almost always, or they find somebody who does abuse their animals, and then they push that out there and they tell everyone, this is how all your food is made, and you need to get your legislators to pass laws to stop this because we should see all of our food produced like old McDonald made it. And that would be great.
Yeah, my kid kind of thinks that, we were looking at
and
eggs.
honestly, some farmers are willing to kind of play this fiction up. For instance, you might remember the commercials about happy cows come from California and showed the cows out on green hills in the sunshine. You remember those? Mm-hmm. Those commercials were filmed in New Zealand.
Wow.
Senator, can I ask you this question, though? Is it cage-free does not mean that they're not in a cage? Doesn't it mean that there's a door that's open that gives them the opportunity to come out of the cage if they want?
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
No,
all right.
That's a big part of the lie here.
Okay.
That's a big part of the lie is that now these chickens are out frolicking in the sunshine and in the green grasses and, just having a grand old time. That's not true at all. They are very much still enclosed and housed and even caged. It's just that the cages are very big. They might not have the tops on them. It's basically, and they start off small. The chickens are small, and so there's some room as they're growing. But basically, by the time they're full, you could come in and it's more packed than the line getting into the stadium on game day. I mean, it's just bumper to bumper chickens.
That's what Charlie said.
They're stomping around in their own crap, and they're spilling their feed in the midst of their own crap, and it's not cleaner, it's not healthier, it's not better for the birds because now chickens set up those pecking orders, and hundreds of chickens are now competing with each other rather than 2, 3, 5 in a smaller cage setting.
So it's less humane.
So wouldn't it be more important to know what they're being fed? Like, is it? And I don't know what you feed a chicken or whatever we're talking about. I mean, Isn't that part of the conversation that should, in terms of how healthy the chicken is and how healthy the egg would be?
Yeah, well, exactly. And I'll tell you, I've been to some of these big operations before they went cage free, since they went cage free. And I'll tell you, I mean, they care about keeping their animals healthy. They really do. I mean, they have to. They can't afford
That's how you make your money.
Unhealthy animals. And so they're feeding them a well-balanced diet. It's very carefully managed. Even on my farm with 120 milking cows, I hire a nutritionist to test my feed, test my soil, make sure I'm feeding the animals just right. And so these guys are doing a good job. I believe they're still humane, but this is a more expensive way to do it. And it allows you to put a label on a box that deceives the public into envisioning a reality that's not true and pay more money for it. And to protect that more money, they've had to pass a law that forbids anybody who's doing it the other way, which was humane and I think more efficient and better for the animals, from competing in the marketplace.
And now all the people that were led to believe that happy cows come from California, your food prices just went through the roof, and now people aren't happy. And you got to pay attention. This is a problem with mainstream media, big charities.
Doesn't do his homework.
Big government and big ag all coming together, and now our food has become just like gas and our health insurance and our car insurance. We're just getting fucked.
It's no different than what we're dealing with on energy, where it's all about, hey, you should pay more for your energy to save the planet from a 0.2 degree increase in 100 years. I mean, this is the nonsense that we're dealing with. And they just appeal to people's, oh my goodness, I better do this thing. I better sort my plastics out, even though they're going to burn them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's Senator Ed McBroom from the Michigan State Legislature. Ed, if you want to hang, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, but then I got some news here if you want.
Well, just want to make sure I tell you though, when it comes to what came first, chicken or the egg, it's American Coney dog.
Just save me that. Just save me having to read that commercial. There you go. And do you know about the Coney kits, Ed?
I've been there.
Do you know about
it's
the
fantastic.
Coney kits? If you can't get here, go to AmericanConeyIsland.com and a dozen will be shipped to your home or anywhere in the United States. Yeah. A dozen dogs, steamer buns, a sweet onion, and a nice hat.
Can have that with his
I
milk.
had no idea.
Yeah, there you go. 'Cause you got a very large family, so get 2 of them. All right, let me tell you about Archangel Senior Management. Are you an entrepreneur looking for a safe and socially responsible real estate investment? Consider contacting Archangel Senior Management. Senior living is one of the fastest growing markets in America, and Archangel offers small communal living for senior citizens in homes right inside our own neighborhoods. It's the antithesis to the cold corporate nursing homes we've all now heard so much about. Archangel has formed partnerships with the PES School of Nursing and Majestic Residences, a home-based assisted living franchise system. This partnership provides authentic caregivers with the tools and training necessary to manage their own care homes, and Archangel investors in that real estate can feel secure both in their investment and their care teams. The care is genuine, the owners are local, and Archangel has Overwatch. If interested in this trailblazing opportunity, contact Archangel at 989-614-0416. That's 989-614-0416. Okay. Now, Karen and I calling each other over the holiday, looking at this blizzard of bullshit coming from the media. Again, you're right, Ed. They don't look at anything. Nothing.
No, they don't.
Okay, so now we got like Mayor Mike Duggan left the Democratic Party because he can't win. He's going to run as an independent. And he's created a whole propaganda division of ex-media types that the public pays for. And the blizzard story starts popping up. Yep. Unchallenged. So for instance, in 2024, we had the fewest homicides since 1965. Yay. Come back, Detroit. Okay? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
Allegedly.
Okay, you live in the cities that feel safer?
No.
Why does, what is it, Nerd Wallet Hub, all these studies come out. It's one of the most violent cities in America. It's one of the hardest places to be employed in America. A quality of life. Why does that keep coming out when our media is pumping out what Duggan's telling them is going on? Here's what I got. We'll give you a little breaking news here. A little breaking news. I'm going to give you a tease, ladies and gentlemen. All the media that listens to this show and has to steal their ideas. Since Mike Duggan's been in office, the Detroit police have told the public there have been 3,000 homicides. That would be 300 a year. But I have the receipts, and I have to hold back until everything's tight. The mayor says 3,000 homicides in Detroit over the past decade. What if I told you the real number was 4,000? That the mayor of Detroit, through statistical sleight of hand, has made 1,000 bodies disappear.
I believe.
That would be 25% of the bodies are not being counted, or that the homicide rate is actually 33% higher, which is no victory at all. So, Mike, I know you have people listening. You'll be getting a phone call. The documents will be there, and you're going to answer for it because it's bullshit. Not only that, what else has he bullshitted? The population's falling.
The population, and I mean, and again, they keep saying, okay, the population has increased by 1,500 people, but they fail to say that we lost 80,000 as it relates to population. I mean,
during his tenure.
During his tenure, right? And so it's, I mean, just everything like I've said before. Under his tenure, the water is colder, the grass is greener, the streets are safer, everybody's employed. On one hand, black wealth is up, in the billions. Home ownership is up. Although then there's another report that talks about the median income is lower. So it's just, let's create this land of Oz. So that it lays the groundwork for his gubernatorial campaign.
And nobody looks into it.
They don't.
Yes, black wealth has increased. Everybody's wealth has increased because of what happened to property, right? Because the hedge funds came in, drove up the price of houses. But black wealth has not increased at the rate of the national average.
No, and unemployment, Charlie. I saw something the other day, and they were talking about all the promises that were made for businesses and for incentives that were given, and the jobs never materialized. There's no accountability there. Nobody talks about that. I mean, it's you call it a shit show. It's a shuffle show. It's just a shell game.
Arrests are down. Response times have not improved. They faked those. Remember in 2018, the FBI refused this mayor's crime statistics because they were so bullshit. It'll all be known. I got a little more work to do, but I just couldn't let that pass. Here's another one about the propaganda. Hey, Ed, did you hear that Detroit, the New York Times, has called Detroit one of the top 52 destinations for 2025? Did you hear that?
I did.
Everybody heard that.
Made it up there.
I was listening to sports radio this morning and they were talking about that. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But let me tell you how this bullshit works. Haven't been at the New York Times. Haven't been at the Detroit newspapers. Real simple. The mayor's got a propaganda wing. They type up some notes. They have their PR people pitch them to the newspapers. Now, I'm not saying this nice young lady from the New York Times has never visited Detroit. I'm not saying she didn't visit these 52 destinations across the world. At a ripe age of 30 years old or whatever she is. I'm not saying she didn't, but she must not have looked around because the abstract is, well, this is Detroit's on the comeback when you go there for this, forget Santa Barbara, California, Detroit, Michigan, forget New Orleans, Detroit, Michigan. Why? Well, they got the new Gordie Howe Bridge. So what are you're going to fly into Detroit to look at some off-ramps from Canada? Oh, by the way, it's not done. It's 4 years behind schedule, and it's not going to open this year.
But you can watch it.
You can watch them build it. It's going to be great. All right. Number two. We got the train station has been rebuilt. That's great. You can stare at that, too. And maybe if you go there at night, you'll realize nobody's in the motherfucker. Now, here's the best one. What was the name of the park?
Centennial?
Centennial Park, named after what's the name?
For lady.
What named after that guy?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I was talking to you yesterday about
I know, and I forgot. I don't know.
Okay, but it's Centennial Park. It's on the river.
What guy?
Huh?
What guy?
Okay, so white guy. That's good. You know, white guy.
I didn't say white. I said what guy.
I was going to say about time.
I'm so sensitive these days.
I said what, not white.
One time I was writing a story. Of, I used to do a drinking column for the New York Times called Bending Elbows. Mm-hmm. And you just go everywhere you could where people are having a drink just to write about life. So I went up to Harlem to the barber shop where they pour nice drinks and you get a haircut. And it was Harlem. And the only people of limited pigmentation in the place were me and Eddie the photographer. And all of a sudden we're sitting there, we drink, everything's cool. And a woman opens the door and starts screaming, "White man! White man!" And everybody looks at me and Eddie. And the woman keeps yelling. She goes, "White van! White van! The police are ticketing a white van!"
See, the racial sensitivity, Charlie.
That's great.
Okay, so another great thing to do, says the New York Times, repeated by the Detroit Free Press, is you got to have to check out lush Centennial Park with the slides and the basketball stuff and the water pond pool landscape. It's lush. It's amazing. Detroit, it's a comeback. So unbelievable. And I'm like, what the hell is Centennial Park? I never heard of Centennial Park. Okay, so I went to Centennial Park. Ironically, it's where the old Detroit Free Press printing plant used to be. So you'd think the Detroit Free Press would go check out the park, right?
Perhaps.
So I checked out the park. Now, if you're listening, go to
Enjoyer.
No, this
X.
won't be on the Enjoyer. Go to
YouTube.
X, Charlie LeDuff on X. Go to
YouTube.
YouTube. Here it is. Oh, by the way, before you roll it, pause. Right there. Remember the frozen guy with his legs sticking out in the elevator shaft that I wrote about like a decade ago? That's where he lived.
Wow.
And his shit's still there. Okay, but now here we go. Here comes beautiful Centennial Park. There's a dumpster. Okay, there's a there's a backhoe. There's a couple of scraggly trees. There's a sign saying coming soon. There's mounds of dirt. Do not enter. There's hurricane fencing, traffic barriers. Well, that's a porta-john, bro.
Okay.
That's a.
There's another one.
Construction trailers. There's piping. There's another earth mover. There's mud.
There's water.
Well, that's Canada, bro.
It looks like it will be a park.
Yeah, you know what, Ed? Look at that. Look at that dumpster, man. Come to Detroit and look at this mound of dirt. It's going to be great. Okay, wait for it, though. Wait for it. There's the bear slide. I think they got the bear slide up. More construction trailers. Wait for it, Ed. You're going to love
Swing
this.
set?
There. Hold on a second. Here it comes, Ed. Wait for it. Yep, there's a pile of telephone poles. I mean, let's plan a vacation around that.
But see, that's the challenge with Detroit. It's never been created as a destination. You go to Las Vegas to gamble. You go to Chicago to shop. You go to, so when you come to Detroit, and I remember being around the table in these conversations, everybody had a different idea about what Detroit was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And there was never a consensus. So there was never a concerted effort to market it in a certain way. So now it's just all over the place.
Yeah. Let me be really clear about this. I love this place. My people founded this place. I moved back to this place. So don't take this as negative Nelly. Mm-mm. My point is, with this bullshit, you're not helping us. When 1,000 homicide victims have gone missing, each one of those numbers is a human with veins and family and a heart and dreams and aspirations. And to be ignored, to be conned, right? Revenues have gone down. We gave it all to the rich man. And we're going to run out of pension money in a year and a half, Ed. You know that, right?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Detroit went bankrupt. We did the grand bargain. Detroit didn't have to pay its pensions for 10 years. right? Now we have to pay for them. We put $450 million aside, and every year it's $150 million in pensions. So after 3 years, you run out of pension money. And with the revenue shrinking in the city, where do we get that? Do you see why Mike Duggan is abandoning Detroit now? The bomb's going to go off.
There's going to be a financial unraveling, and that's what people have to. They're not. And Charlie, I agree with you. Nobody loves this city more than me, but I love this city for what.
No, I love it more than you.
No, I love it more. I think I love it more. I love it enough to live here. How about that?
Yeah, well, I can't afford it.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, but people have to understand. I mean, I loved it for what it was, and I loved it for what it wasn't. But I don't want to be sold a basket of goods about things when I see a different Detroit every day. Let's talk about what it is, and let's talk about what it's not, and what we have to do to get there. Like painting a pig yellow doesn't make it a duck. And I don't like the whole misleading thing.
Wait a minute there. You're a farmer. Ed,
I knew that was coming.
If you paint a pig yellow, does that make it a duck?
Only if it starts quacking.
We may be able to teach a pig to quack. I mean,
should they be allowed to use the women's bathroom?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry, continue.
That's okay, Charlie, but you get what I'm saying. And I'd rather have, the rough around the edge and the work in progress than to be sold a bag of BS about what the city is when I live it and I see it, and it's not that every day, not just for me, but for the people who are here. And you've got people that have come in and they buy into, the downtown and old Detroit is this, and it's not.
And let me be liberal about it. Remember my liberal friends, what liberal was? I'm for solid, incremental, sustainable growth.
Exactly.
Now, what we did, my old liberal friends, is we gave rich men our few nickels and they slapped up drywall. And since the Lions are good, everybody says it's a comeback. All the police are taken out of the neighborhoods to make it cool for you to be here, and it is cool. But the Ford family, we paid for that arena. They like to say they paid for it. They like to say they redid the train station. They didn't. They did in part, but we did as well, and there's nothing for us. So here's the irony of all ironies. Zuckerberg, right, the Facebook guy, the Facebook owner, old Zucky, was censoring this show, as you remember, because we would talk truth about COVID, the election, politics, and, all the snaky liberals in the media and, in the deep state. He even told everybody, pressured him to censor people, which would be us. Well, he's had a change of heart. This is what he said yesterday about his fact checkers.
After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US.
What do you say? The fact checkers that we hired were biased,
Yes,
and they spread more distrust? Then, okay. So the question would be, in America, who was Facebook's fact checkers that they paid copious amounts of money to fact check the public? Well, one of them was USA Today, right? Which is the free press, right? So what did Zuckerberg just tell you about your hometown newspaper, the biggest newspaper in the state of Michigan?
They're biased.
They're biased and they're corrosive, and they can't get off their ass and go see if this fucking park is built, right? It's got to stop.
Or if eggs cost more.
Or, yeah, right? I am so sick, Ed, of okay, all the political corruption in Lansing, and good. Okay, so we got some Republicans looking into stuff. That's good. The nursing homes, the grift in the Attorney General's office. But they're so embroiled in, like the Chatfield scandal. They didn't write a thing about him till he was out 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
Or Whitmer's pal who got the $20 million for a company that didn't exist until 2 weeks after she got the $20 million. Okay, that's great.
Crazy.
But I wish the media would pay attention to really important things like water, like Flint before the deal went through, or like mowing the trees down up north, or the price of eggs, right? The serious shit.
Yeah.
Or even water here in Detroit, Charlie. Remember there was a question, they were sending out letters, and there was a question about lead composition in the water. And, they came out and said, oh, everything's fine. It's as good as it used to be. Okay, but what did it used to be? And then everybody stopped talking about it. So what happened?
Yeah, in the middle of bankruptcy, the whole water system changed.
Yeah.
So we're bankrupt, and this scheming and conniving's going on, which leads to the Flint poisoning. So always watch, it's scheming and conniving these people. You know what I mean? So, that's sort of the Trump effect, what Zuckerberg did, because why Zuckerberg really did it, everybody's got the guesses. Here's really why he did it. Because censorship is sweeping the world. Pavel Durov, the Russian founder of Telegraph. It's a big social media platform. France wanted him to censor it and what was on it. He didn't do it. They arrested him on the tarmac in Paris.
Wow.
Elon Musk pulled everybody from X out of Brazil for fear of arrest because they did not comply with the censorship requirements laid down by the Supreme Court. So Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, is one of the 7 largest stocks in the world.
Wow.
So in order to make this thing go, Zuckerberg's going to sidle up to Trump. Trump's going to use the pressure of the United States market to get these people in line. That's what it's about.
And don't forget, Zuckerberg kicked Trump off of his platform. So that's, he's, and Trump said he's going after everybody that came after him. So now he's got to line up under Elon Musk and Trump.
Let me fact check that with Mark. Did Trump get tossed off of I know he got tossed off of Twitter.
I believe he did, yeah.
He did.
Both
did.
of them.
Wow. The president of the United States. And it turns out the shit was right and the fact checkers were wrong. And the New York Times is not giving back its Pulitzer Prizes for the Russia hoax.
And here we are.
And stop with the bullshit. Because if you came to Detroit, you would know there's no park there. The bridge isn't done. What else is the Trump effect? What else? I'll tell you. Did you notice Claudia Sheinbaum, the new president of Mexico, is now going to cooperate and take all the illegal migrants back that we push back over there. I guess someone whispered in her ear, you're not big enough yet. You haven't stolen enough of our factories yet. You still need our market. Do it or you're done. What else? Vladimir Zelensky. You know what? Peace negotiations might be a good idea all of a sudden. What do you think of that, Mark?
You think? Yeah. Well, because there's no money coming anyway, so it's his last resort.
What about the Rotherham rape scandal?
Yeah, I didn't know about this one. You told me about this.
You didn't know? Okay, I read a book during my time out last year called The Strange Death of Europe. Amazing book. And it's really about the mass migrant wave that came in. And there were 2 big things. One was, it was British Pakistani sex ring, and they had abused like 1,400 girls, right? And the town knew about it all this time, and the media was complicit. They didn't want to bring up what could potentially be construed as racist things or bring a shadow on the reputation of this town and what we did. So, meantime, 12-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls, you let them just be victims for a decade. What's it got to do with race? It's nothing to do with race. Immigration's fine. Vet the people. You don't just let them storm through. On New Year's Eve, 2016, in Germany, mostly in Cologne, 1,200 women were raped in town squares. And for weeks, nobody wanted to report that they were newly arrived refugees from North Africa. I don't know why, right? North Africans great. They've been in Germany since after the war. I mean, they've been in France forever. I mean, that's not the issue. But who? You're not going to let the Hells Angels come in, from California and set up a meth shop. How? So that's now out there. There's a reckoning coming. in Europe about what you're doing and what this woke bullshit is. And you know what I mean? Devastating. And then, of course, there's Greenland, Panama, and Canada. Now, let me tell you about Greenland. We're not taking Greenland. But Greenland plus Canada plus Alaska plus Norway gives us more of the Arctic Circle than Russia, who's trying to take it. And with ice caps melting, that's a new shipping lane right across the North Pole, which was never accessible. Canada's the biggest deadbeat in NATO. Denmark, which is basically the colonizer of Greenland. They go back 1,000 years, but Canada and Denmark are the two biggest deadbeats in NATO. They don't pay, right? So Trump rightly says, "Hey, Greenland, we're going to buy you." We're not buying them, but the Inuit people got self-sovereignty if they want it in 2009. They can vote to leave Denmark. Denmark is one of the richest nations in the world. It's about this big. Greenland is one of the poorest nations in the world, and it's gigantic. So they get raped by Denmark, and Denmark sends a couple nickels back. So what Trump's doing is, and how do I know this? Because I used to live in a commune in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Of course you did.
Where
Charlie.
everybody lived there. And I'm like, look at it, man. These Eskimo dudes, man. These guys are big. These guys are nuts. Like, you know what? It's sort of like if the Lakota Nation, right? The Sioux Indians had all of the United States and all the rest of us lived in New York City. That's kind of the relationship. You know, and I'm like, wow. How is this possible? So, Trump sees it, which is, look, we can't have the Chinese and Russian boats going around Greenland. Number two, Greenland's got a lot of minerals. We can do a deal. We're not going to rape them. We're going to buy them. Number three, Europe's not getting its natural gas from Russia anymore because of what they did in the Ukraine. And it's really expensive to ship liquefied natural gas across the Atlantic. But if you just look northeast, there's Greenland. You could actually do a pipeline to there. And then you could create a port and then ship it. It's much shorter distance and then ship it to Europe.
You need to be a cabinet member, Charlie.
I actually know this stuff. Panama Canal, everybody knows if you pay attention to the new Silk Road that the Chinese are building around the world for trade. You knew they were busy in Panama. You knew they were building the high-speed rail there. You knew they were building the bridge over the Panama Canal. You knew that if you just had been anywhere and paid any attention. So rightly so, we're not going to take the Panama Canal, but here's the deal. No more Chinese construction firms, and we get a discount. I'm not really against that.
Not too sure a lot of people would be, Charlie. I mean, again, but I guess I was thinking too when he talks about taking back the Panama Canal. What does that say as the former president Jimmy Carter lies in repose? I mean, because wasn't he the one that gave it back to them?
He did. He gave it back to him.
One of his biggest mistakes.
Yeah. Why did he do it, Ed?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, and I think you're cracking this nut a little bit right now, Charlie, is that, people of America and our leadership bought into some of these globalist ideas that, America needed to atone for past indiscretions and needed to make bad deals and take the bad end of the deals because, hey, we're the big guys. We've got more money. We should be sorry for our position and kind of give away the farm. And Jimmy Carter was a part of that at some times. And he did some good things too. I'm not trying to besmirch the recently gone, but that was a big mistake. He shouldn't have done that with the Panama Canal. It was not in America's best long-term interests. It was in the best interests of globalists and other countries. And it was a big mistake. We shouldn't have done it.
Well, look, I mean, here, Panama has no military, none, no standing army. We're their military. So we get to pay for that. Yep. Denmark, one of the biggest deadbeats in NATO, one of the original signatories, by the way, one of the first 12, has basically no army to speak of. And the Canadians have an army that is collapsing, right? So when Trump says to Trudeau, Governor Trudeau, we got $100 billion in the trade deficit. That means you're dumping your milk on us. You're subsidizing your timber. That's against NAFTA. Plus your dollar's 70 cents to our dollar. So when you produce in Canadian dollars, already your price is 30% less. So we're going to stop that. We don't need your timber. We don't need your milk. We don't, right, dairy farmer? We don't need your milk. We don't. So when they say, hey, it's going to drive prices up, everybody seems to forget they bought into the globalist, which is, yeah, but the wage goes down too. When your price goes down, your wage goes down. Unbelievable. Right. So now, and then there's another $100 billion that we subsidize them in the military. They don't have any military and they won't patrol the Arctic Circle. They won't patrol it. So Trudeau's out on his ass. And for an expert look, there he is. Eat cake. Eat cake. What a ponce this guy is. He destroyed Canada. And who better to explain it than our friend from Voices of North America, Vinny Limo. Is Vinny Limo out there?
He changed.
Okay, listen, if you're listening to the podcast, you totally gotta just go online and look at the OG right there. Give me the while Vinny tries to figure out his microphone. Here's a little no, we can't hear you. Vinny said he's gonna pick us up at the train station in a limo, but he didn't. What we got was Vinny. Pimp hat, silver cane, Fu Manchu, ruby ring on the right hand, his left arm contorted like a chicken wing. I'm here to get the limo. He sent the limo home.
No, not my limo, guy.
I got a feeling this whole thing is going to end up with me on the train on the way back.
It's all good.
I think you were right.
My man. Okay, Vin, you got the microphone up?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Just jack it up, dude. We'll take whatever we can get. Crank up the volume.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, keep going.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me?
A little bit better, a little bit more. A little bit more.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Wait, put it back up. Put it back up, Vin.
Okay.
Don't forget the echo. We know you're on planet Canada. Come on.
Yeah, I know I'm thousands of miles away. Or about 700, 800.
Don't touch nothing. It's perfect.
Anyways, I don't always dress like that hilarious person I was in that you just showed. I dress elegantly as I could. So
I thought that was elegant. Wait a minute. You were elegant then. You're elegant now. What are you doing?
No. I was kind of going to go with the narrative last time, to make the thing funny because it was supposed to be a funny pilot. I knew that. I could sense the vibes what you were saying, so I did that.
All right, Vinny, what's going on with Trudeau, man? What did he do to your country? Are you glad he's gone?
He's not gone. That's the whole problem. He's still prime minister. He's still in charge of the party till they vote him out, and he's holding the country hostage to hold on to his power. He's doing that by proroguing in Parliament, which means he basically closed down Parliament, made it, null and void. So he's still prime minister. Everybody's under the fucking illusion that he's gone. He's not gone.
Okay, but he's going to be gone.
Well, even if they vote him in, what he's trying to do, if people listen to what Ezra Levant said the other day, what he's doing, he's trying to pull a Macron type thing. He's trying to get his Chinese friends to buy him ridings and everything. And so he wants to make a consortium so he can hold power as long as possible. And that's the problem with the Westminster parliamentary system. When you have that, it's not like the States. You don't vote for the individual here. You vote for the party, like in France.
Well, let me explain it for people. So basically, it goes like this: he can call an election anytime he wants, but there is a hard deadline when he's got to call it by. That would be this October. So what he's doing is, if he steps down as prime minister, the Liberal Party's still in power, and they have a new leader, right? So that gives you some time. He's not going to call the next election now because they'll lose. But it gives him till October to try to do something, right? That's how it works there. Ours is the election date is set, period. Now, but here's the thing, Vin. He's not popular. He let in 500,000 immigrants a year. If my friends listening, Canada's population is about a tenth of the size of the United States. So what you're saying is, imagine 5 million people a year being let into the United States, not very well vetted. Is that one of the complaints, Vin?
Yep. The buses are full of immigrants. The people are tired. But the problem is, they're pointing to all these results of Trudeau, but they're not pointing to the root problem of Canada's system, why he can do stuff like that. What the guy done, he stacked the Senate. Canadians cannot vote for their senators. They cannot vote for the local judges. So when you got those two things on your side, any party, they appoint you appoint.
Vidi. We don't need a civics lesson. We need to if we're going to absorb Canada as the 51st state, we got to need to know what we're getting here. What about housing?
Well, okay, the housing is really bad. They're trying to kick senior citizens out to make room for on the public housing, on the sides of the trucks, there's a program called Arrive. In French means new arrivals. They kicked out where I live. They kicked one of the food banks out that was serving 30,000 people in order to make room for one immigrant family. You go on the buses, they're so crowded. They're more crowded now than when you were here. I mean, they're like rolling sardine cans.
So here's the thing: what happened to Canada under Trudeau, right? Plus all of his taxes and everything, ridiculous. If Canada was become the 51st state in the Union, do you know where it would rank on household income? 49th.
Wow.
49th. Canada would be the third poorest state in the United States. That's what's happened to Canada. I don't think people know that. Isn't that right, Vin?
Yep. And not only that, they don't have to become the 51st state. They could keep their king history and all that, and just tweak the system a little bit, make it more Republican in nature, where the people get power and everything. But Poilievre don't want to do that. He don't want to give you your rights. He don't want to let you vote for senators because they want to appoint him the same as the other one. It's a power game.
Okay, listen.
You wouldn't even needed a convoy.
Okay, but the constitutional law over here. What I'm trying to say is, why is it we have twice as many encounters with people on the terror watch list coming from Canada than we do from Mexico?
Because he sided with all the Soros. Soros is open border. He sided with all that, and he wants to get that immigrant vote, and he sides with the LGBT, all the smaller groups, and he does that to divide the people, because when you divide, it's like Rome fell. Your history, you know about history. Rome fell because of multiculturalism. Look what happened in France last year. You crowd it with the other people, and it destroys your society from
let me stop you there.
History.
Multiculturalism is a good thing. The blood flowing through me is multicultural. It's just human beings are made they are. If it's too much of one thing all at once, right? And you want good people. So let's just make this clear before we get the rants that were like.
You sent me to see the immigrants that come that started business. The problem is they don't vet the bad ones. Like you said, the terrorists are coming across. Not every immigrant is a terrorist. We got a lot of good ones here too, but they come here the legal way.
Yeah. Vinny was upset about it, right? He was upset about all the immigration. I go, well, let's not do a blanket here. Mm-hmm. So Vinny actually got in his car and decided to introduce himself to immigrants around Canada. And he reported back to me, they're really cool. Restaurants are nice, hardworking. You know what I mean? So he said, yeah. And then
But that's the advantage of people connecting with people that they otherwise just have a perception about.
Exactly.
On all levels. I mean, we sit back and make a guesstimate about who people are, as opposed to going up and trying to find out who they are themselves.
Exactly.
Or for ourselves.
So you know,
judge people on their actions, not just as a stereotype.
okay, Vinny, we got about 5 seconds here. Where can people find your work?
Okay.
The VNA network?
Well, we're in WDGB. You know, we've been broadcasting here more, but
Okay.
it's
Where do
on
they
YouTube.
where do they find you? Give me a quick
On Twitter.
Okay.
On Twitter mostly. You'll see at VNA Canada USA at gmail.com.
Okay,
It's on
so
Twitter. We've
at
got
VNA,
Andy
you
Lee
go to
working
VNA
for-
and all things Vinny shall be revealed, right? And they censor you up there in Canada anyway, so that's another thing Trudeau did.
So does he want you? Do you want Canada to become the 51st state of the United States under Trump?
Yeah, he does. You know why? Because then he's allowed back in the United States.
What did he
A
say?
lot of people do, but I don't believe Canada needs to go that far. They could just tweak some things within their own system and give the people the power, let them vote for senators. You know, the problem is they don't want to do that because they love the appointments. They love stacking the deck, the conservatives and the liberals both.
Okay.
You know, the convoy wouldn't even happen if they had the right just to say no like the Americans did. You know,
They wouldn't let us
that's
in.
the problem. No rights here.
Wouldn't let us in. No rights. All right. Senator Ed McBroom, thanks for your time, my brother. Vinny Limo.
I'm sorry
Thank
for
you,
ranting a
guys.
little bit, but
No,
this
it's-
whole
it's-
every Canadian's mad as me. I'm half and half. I'm half American, half
I've
Canadian.
never seen a mad Canadian. They're always so nice.
Well, when they get mad, you ever see them on the hockey rink?
Well, yeah, that's
Like when Geopolitical used to get mad?
That's a stereotype.
Dude, get out of here.
No. Or on D-Day, they were pretty mad too, remember?
You know, I really don't.
Wasn't alive.
Yeah, I wasn't alive
No,
then.
you weren't around then.
No, I wasn't. All right, man. We'll talk to you guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Okay. All right, Charlie. Thanks for having me on.
For sure, man. Here's the limo.